So I have my very first sketchbook, and then I have the one that I finished recently, a super recent one, and I thought it would be a fun idea to go through my super old sketchbook and then go over my very fresh sketchbook. I haven't looked at this in a long time, and if you know me, the way I studied art was very like, I'm just in my room, no outside contact, and I just draw, and I fill up a bunch of sketchbooks. I have a picture. I'm gonna toss it up right now, and it's basically I have this bin full of sketchbooks, and in there is just I fill up. I would go through a sketchbook a week. Things would be super cheap. I would buy a bunch of cheap ones. Like I have some other ones here. You go to like Daiso. I like drawing on the covers if I could. This cover doesn't really let me draw, but I have a drawing like here. So I'll just go through sketchbooks and sketchbooks. I don't have anything on the back of this one. A sketchbook a week back when I was first learning how to draw. But nowadays I don't really use too many sketchbooks. I mainly just use loose leaf paper, and we could talk about that when I get to this one. But first, let's go over this first sketchbook. This is dated around January 21, but I don't consider this as my official start date when I learned how to draw. My official start date, I have it on a calendar. It was around May 2022. I started this sketchbook around 2021, and then I stopped. I just gave up, and then I started doing other things. I was working and stuff, so then I officially started drawing every single day, filling up sketchbooks and sketchbooks, May 2022. But we can first see how it all goes. And I completely forgot that I did this part here, where I wrote down names of artists. This was like, I'm getting into art. Okay, cool. What are some names of artists that I know or that I want to, be inspired by? And out of here, I don't remember any of these people. The only person I know is Kim Jung-gi, who I have his signed books and I've, studied with his like mentors and stuff. Makoto Shinkai is the director of my favorite anime movies. And then Yutaka Nakamura, I just know he's an animator. He did the Yutapon cubes. Everyone else I don't really know. I think I know Kalal Monet, his name, but I've never seen these people. Anyway, so that's changed. But now let's get into it. So when I started drawing, a lot of these are nasty, but when I started drawing, I've only been drawing like 4 years, 4.5, considering I'm about to hit my 4th year if you go by my May 2022 timeline. But a lot of these, it's very, very beginner, and I think that the way I immediately started drawing was by copying, what's his name, Akitoshi Yoshifumi or something like that. Akimoto Yoshifumi. I don't know. I could put a picture of him, of his YouTube channel, and it's basically like ASMR vibes. And he goes through the construction phase on how to like build out the torso and do all of that. So I basically started off by copying him, which, by the way, I think was a smart move. I think that this is probably the right track, and if you are learning how to draw, you should go into something like this, which is basically watch and follow along a pro artist draw what you want to draw in the style that you want to draw in, whatever, what you like. Because the most important thing about drawing is learning the process of drawing. A lot of people, like, they're like, we're studying, right? They see like a complicated anatomy drawing or like, some kind of Pinterest art or Instagram art or something like that. That's not that strong. That's not that good to study from, especially if you don't know what you're looking at. So you want to either first look at the sketch, try to find sketches of whoever's drawings, so that way you can actually, like draw over and study it. Or you want to find like step-by-step processes of like, this is how you construct, this is the way. But mostly videos. Photos, not so much. Videos, watching videos of artists, pros doing gesture drawings, doing construction, building the figure. There's a lot of videos on those. And then watch it, don't do anything, just watch it, memorize the way they move their hand and all that stuff, and then you can try to mimic that. That's how I basically improved the fastest when I had like mentors, and basically I just watched them draw for like 4 hours without doing anything, and then after that 4 hours of their like lesson and they're talking, they're drawing, I go and I do my own drawing while following, copying their hand motions and doing all of that fun stuff. But anyway, so here, very beginner, I don't know what these toes are. I'm like learning how to do, I don't know any anatomy at this point. I was basically just following like, oh, this guy, you know, he drew a circle here and then he put the line down, and then he drew like a circle here and he did this. I basically just followed that. I had no understanding of anything. And then I was basically just following his videos and going through everything. And then I started doing the full body. You can see that I'm kind of doing the anti-asymmetry, or like the Michelin Man bubbles, but I'm trying to stop myself from doing it. And then here was when I pivoted from, I just started drawing from manga. This is quintessential quintuplets. It was really popular back when it came out. So I was just doing, and I was just copying. I was trying to follow like construction. So you can see, you can't really see it on the camera because I have a janky setup, but I have different colors, like following Yoshitomi. Hold on, let me Google Akihito Yoshitomi. He's a mangaka. Basically, I just kind of followed what I learned from watching his videos and then just went like, started copying from manga panels. Here, I would try to redraw the same face multiple times. Some of these are pretty bad. The proportions are all off. And I think later on, none of these are dated too. I think here I started tracing. So this looks like it's a lot better, but this is all fake. What I do recommend sometimes you do, and what I did start to do, was I got tracing paper and I would print out manga pages, or I would have like books, right? Of like, this is what I mean by sketches, by looking at sketches. And I would literally find like a pose or something, and I put the tracing paper over it. And I go through and I break down. So like, this is the sphere, this is the center line, this is where the eye goes, and I'll move it apart and I'll see like, okay, so the eye goes around there. Cool. And I'm like practicing the shapes, and I would do this same thing multiple times. I'll like do a full trace, and then I'll do a full build trace again, and I'll do the full build. I fill up a whole page with like 20 of just this one face. And although that, you know, it's not, I don't think it'll like help that much. You'll improve that much, but what it does improve is it just improves your muscle memory and improves your ability to see, because it's just a lot more helpful to be able to like actually draw out and see, oh, so this is how it's built, this is how it's done. So tracing paper, studying, it worked for me. I don't do it anymore. I have a bunch of tracing paper that's not used, but I don't need to do it anymore because my eyes are developed to where I can just basically like have a drawing here, and then I can recreate that drawing one-to-one with my eyes. So it's basically like as a way to sort of get you over hurdles and to keep you motivated too. So some of these are traced. This one, the eyes are way too far apart. What is that? This hand 100% is traced. There's no way, there's no construction lines too. And it's way too good for everything else. Oh, this was the KDA League of Legends KDA manga, or KDA manhwa, the webtoon. I printed out. I remember I printed out. I find it on the website. It's digital, and then I print out physical copies, like the full like packet, and I just trace over or just copy and study the like every single picture. So that's basically how I started. I remember being proud of this one. This one was like one of my best ones that I took a picture of. I don't know where that picture is because I think it's bad now. This one too is pretty good, but you can see how nasty and hairy these lines are because I'm so, here, this eye, this is such a beginner thing where you make the eyes so crazy, because the way you would do the eye actually from the side view, and now I would go like this, right? And then you go like that, and then you have the ear, and here it's like, I don't know what I'm doing with all of this. This was also some from Korean manhwa. I forgot this one was from like it's from the manhwa Monster or something. It was like this little girl who had like some, I don't know. The art style was really nice. It had really nice hatching. I didn't know how to do the hatching, so my thing just makes it look ugly. Okay, I think here is when I actually started studying. So I think all of this was like 2021, and then I kind of gave up. And then I started again in 2022 around. And this is when I actually started looking at books and I started taking lessons. The first teacher that I ever had was Mike Matesi. And because I think I read somewhere or I saw a Proco video or something where it was like, what is the first fundamental you need to learn? The first fundamental is gesture. I'm like, cool. Let's look up gesture videos. Mike Matesi, Disney animator, check. Sounds good. I'm down. And I just basically took his classes, looked at all his lessons, did all the assignments and everything, and I just basically just studied gesture. You see me practicing and trying to learn the gesture. And then here's me studying and trying to analyze the gesture. And big tip about gesture is do not put a time limit when you're starting out. If you were like at this stage, when you're just like learning gesture and your gesture drawings are this bad, do not put a time limit. I had no time limit in these. I just basically set an end goal. That's how, like, the purpose of the time limit in gesture drawing is my gesture speech. The purpose of a time limit in gesture drawing is so that you don't spend too much time on one drawing, right? Just so that you don't take a drawing to a finish. But because of the time limit, you end up not learning and not studying how to actually do gesture drawing. So no time limit when you're starting out. Instead, you just find an endpoint. I said, when I get to here, this is my endpoint. I think I was studying from, Michael Hampton? I think that basically I said I had no time limit, but my endpoint was this. I'm copying this. I'm going to basically draw until I get to this point. And the whole time I'm analyzing where is the curve, blah, 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 blah. And that's the gesture drawing. That's basically it. No time limit, and I just practiced and I studied. I started going into anatomy early, learn anatomy early. This is nasty. I don't know what this is. That's like it's supposed to be a forearm. Started learning the bones. The earlier you learn this stuff, the better. I know that, I started drawing post-university, like a few years out of university. I went to university for film, and I worked on like in LA and like film sets and stuff. I grew up around LA, so it was like natural, I guess, for me. And so I started drawing way later, but what basically that allowed me to do was basically I had the diligence, I had the discipline to actually do the hard stuff. A lot of people, sometimes people like online or whatever, they'll be like complaining and they're like, 12 years old or 16 or something. They're in high school. And it's like, there's a part of me where it's like, oh man, if I started drawing earlier, I would be a lot better, right? At this point, at my age. But when you're younger, you don't have the discipline. You don't have the drive. You don't have whatever. All right, the responsibility or something like that. Your prefrontal cortex is not developed. So the benefit of drawing later is that you have a better head on your shoulders. You'll be able to see it and you'll be like, okay, this is the steps. All right, let's sit down and grind it out. This stuff, maybe some people will be like, I don't want to do this. Oh, this is boring. I just want to draw like my fun stuff or whatever. I said, I don't even care. Like, drawing is torture right now. I'm just gonna bite through it because this is a job. This is work. I don't need to be happy. I'm just gonna draw and I'm gonna learn all of the most annoying, tedious stuff and find happiness in it. And I basically found some fun being able to draw gesture. And so basically I just grind gesture. No, I never drew anything that I actually wanted to draw. I never drew like any fan arts or anything. I only just did this. These are my only drawings, and I drew like 5-10 pages a day for like 6 hours a day, and I just studied anatomy, right, all the boring stuff, but I just did it, right? And I'm not knocking you if you are younger and you're like, oh my god, I don't know how to do I don't want to do this, I just want to have fun while drawing. That's a good thing. Keep doing that. your progress is just going to be slower. But if like in my case, I was like, I don't need to have fun while doing this, or I can at least find some fun in being able to draw like these like anatomical things. Like this is my fun. Then this will help you improve so much faster. Like I said, I started drawing way late, and I'm only like year 3.5 technically. And then I started doing my perspective. I think some of this was art WOD. This was art WOD. I was basically learning. Art WOD right now is so fancy. I'm like, I don't know. Back in the day, art WOD, I had to take pictures and I had to like email them to somebody from art WOD, and then they would like reply to me in an email or something. Now they have like an actual like setup, which is cool. Here, I don't know, you people practicing signatures and stuff. I don't use this signature at all. Here, I think I started drawing from imagination. This was my cat. I don't know what I'm doing here. I think here was when I started like, okay, let's try to experiment. Let's try to like mess with it. And I was trying to bring in a little bit of like the anatomy that I knew, but it's all bad. This looks like Can Lu, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Here, just doing the basics. I don't know who I'm looking at from here. I'm like going through random stuff. The other thing is, don't be precious about your sketchbook. Your sketchbook's gonna look nasty. Make it look nasty. Like the pages are all falling out. It's all ripped, and I have it taped up and everything, right? And these are cheap. These were like less than $5 USD. I got them at Daiso, Japanese store. I think PewDiePie uses the same sketchbook too. But anyway, yeah, more gesture. A lot of these. Okay, so here's the next date. So yeah, I had a huge gap, and then I went back to drawing. 2022, May 17, 2022. I started going back. You can see I've kind of declined in my gesture drawing a little bit from way back then. And here too, I was drawing from real life pictures. This like volleyball poses. And you can tell that I didn't know how to simplify like Michael Hampton did, or like Mike Matesi did. Because when I was copying from Mike Matesi or Michael Hampton, the simplification made a lot more sense. Here, I'm trying to figure out how to simplify on my own. And you can see that things were like kind of messing up. But here, I'm trying to improve a little bit better. I'm trying to take into account the gesture drawing. I'm also drawing digitally too. This is my sketchbook, physical sketchbook, and then have a digital thing where I'm practicing a lot of like the Mike Matesi figure drawing or gesture drawing classes, where it's like you're trying to learn how to skate across the page, like where you have like your pen and you're like thin to thick, to thin to thick, to thin to thick, like that. Doing a lot of that stuff on the side, and then here was when I was like, okay, I'm done drawing digitally. I'm gonna draw on here and see if I can apply anything. Gesture. This is a pose that I like did a lot of drawings of, so I can kind of remember how to do it. And then trying to learn to gesture. No time limits for these. Just studying, no time limit, because I'm spending my time trying to figure out how to go from here, right, building out the shape, to here, and it's already broken. I don't know who these people are. Okay, Glenn Keane, I know. I think these are gesture drawing people. I don't know what this is. Oh yeah, here's the hierarchy. So for gesture drawing, I remember this. For gesture drawing, you want to prioritize the torso, right? The rib cage and the pelvis. And then after that, you can do legs. And then head would be last. A lot of people like I'll sometimes do it where you start from the head first, which is fine, right? To build out your gesture drawing from the head first. But then I think when you're starting out, is more helpful and more important to get the torso correct. So that way you can do. So that way, because this is the main body mass. Skating. Practicing getting good lines, improving my line quality. So here I'm trying to like get this smoother line quality instead of like the hatchy, like nasty lines. And also when I say nasty, it's my opinion. When I see art like that's like this, to me, it just sees no fundamentals, and I don't like it. So, but that's just my opinion. If you like it, go for you. Like, I don't care. But for me, I didn't like these lines, so I don't want to use those lines. So then I kept practicing using like the smooth lines where I'm like building out. Learning perspective, more art wad perspective lessons. I got critiqued. A lot of these, some of these were wrong. I had to get it fixed. I don't know what this is. Like Spider-Man. More boxes. People, the only way to get better at drawing is to draw. When, like, drawing is two parts, or two things to know. Anyone can draw, right? Ratatouille style. Anyone can draw. Getting good at drawing is 99.9% guaranteed. It's guaranteed you will get better at drawing, and anyone can draw. You can get good at drawing. And the way to get good at drawing is to draw a lot. The issue is that some people don't want to do that, or some people can't do that, or some people, are struggling with that. Anyone can draw. You can draw, and it's guaranteed that you'll be good. You'll be good if you just draw a lot. But then the issue is drawing a lot. So like for here, instead of like what is this? Like, oh man, it's like 100 boxes. And then I've done, multiple pages more. This is my very first sketchbook too. This is my first set of 100 boxes. In my other sketchbooks and my other like page like drawings, I've done another set of 100. I've done 100 skulls, 100 figures, 100 gesture drawings. 100 times over. Like I said, I drew for 4 years, every single day, 6 to 8 hours a day, no breaks. My hands hurt, kind of a thing. And I just went at it. Maybe I went outside with my friends once maybe 2 times a month. And then every single time I drew, or I went to work. I was working, and then I basically just drew. Work, draw, work, draw, work, draw. No posting online, no even looking on social media or anything. Maybe I'll watch like a YouTube video on drawing. Yeah, see, look, here's another set of like 100 boxes. And half of these were wrong, so I had to fix them. This does not look that good, but I remember that I liked this, and this was one that I tried drawing. I was like, I'm gonna try this. I forgot who this is. To me, this gives me Shikimori vibes from that one anime where like the guy is like an incompetent person, and then the girl had to like fight, or was like the super competent one. I don't remember, but I think this is the volleyball scene. It's coming back to me, and I thought it was pretty good. Studying lines, more boxes. Oh yeah, I'm correcting it. I think I was doing this freehand. I think I had a horizon line, and then I just did boxes freehand, and then I went over and I tried to see where I messed up on. You gotta do a lot of these. When I like some of my other videos, I say like you gotta do 100 boxes 100 times. This is what I mean. You gotta do. This is literally like the first month of my drawing. I just did boxes all day, and I did gesture drawing all day, 8 hours a day, and then you have to get good at drawing your boxes, so that way you can do, boxes so that you can like twist and turn them, and then you can do everything else. You can do your like anatomy and do whatever. Started studying more of the body, learning about the center of gravity, skating, center of gravity, just doing the same thing. You gotta do things for a long time. I think it's like, what was it? Marshall Vandriff. I don't know. I don't remember. But Marshall, I think something that he always says is like, oh yeah, I'm studying perspective for the next 3 months or something like that. That's true. Like people are like, I'm going to do 1 page of gesture drawing. All right, cool. And then they don't do gesture drawing again for like another like 3 weeks or something. It's like, bro, you need to do it every day. There was a date back there. It was still May. This stuff, I forgot where the date. I saw a date. It was still like May. It was May 20th or something like that. Yeah, see, look, it's still May. Half of this stuff ago, like all the way back here, it was like May 17th. May 17th to May 22. That was 5 days. In 4 or 5 days, I just kept going at it nonstop. And I still have other sketchbooks that you saw in the picture with a bunch of drawing. So I'm still going at it. I think I was studying from a real life picture. More boxes, more skating, doing the same things. It's only been a few days, right? But I'm not stopping, and I'm gonna keep going even more, right? I still do these pages. I don't do them anymore, but I still did them like a year ago. Now I'm finally on 2-point perspective. After 5-6 days, a week of 1-point perspective, doing like 300 boxes, then I finally moved on to 2-point perspective. And then, I don't know what this is. More 2-point. More skating. I did a thing of skating, and then I did 2-point. This was... Who is this? Like Love Life Drawing or something like that? It was like some European British YouTube channel. They have a bunch of pictures, and then basically just learning a little bit more anatomy and how like different parts of the body moves. And I was like learning about what's it called, landmarks of the body. So the clavicle, basically subcutaneous parts of the body where like your bone is showing under the skin. More 2-point, more gesture, the same thing. I started dating a little bit more consistently. More gesture, proportions. Here I started putting in more anatomy, trying to, but I didn't really know anatomy. I did a full drawing, trying to. It's always good to do a few of like finished or trying to do like more polished stuff, so that way you can kind of just gauge to see where I'm at. So if I'm looking at this one here, this drawing has a lot more improvement than whatever the hell this stuff is, right? Here, I just started out like this. Granted, it's a different style, but I am learning more fundamentals. Learning more fundamentals. More gesture. More gesture. More boxes. More gesture. I remember I was kind of proud of this one, but this one looks nasty now. But you can see the fundamentals. Like here, you can see that I'm going from outside, inside, outside. Right? There's a curve. There's a curve in the torso, and it goes like this. So you can see that I'm starting to see like an artist. I'm starting to see here, and still not that good, but more boxes, trying to freehand the boxes. More freehanding. I don't know what this is. I just started drawing random stuff. More figures. End of May. Anatomy. I have a whole anatomy sketchbook where it's just like full of anatomy stuff. And that was like one of my third sketchbook or something like that I filled up. All anatomy. Perspective. Gesture. And then this was my last one. Very like force gesture. 2022. So it's been like a week. I'm trying to force out the gesture, which I think this one was pretty successful. I think proportions are a little bit weird and my face is pretty bad, but yeah. So this was all the way up to like here. This was all what I think from, yeah, like maybe like around here. This is all like 3 days, or from like May 17th to May 30th. So like half a month. But then most of the drawings, like this big pack right here, was like a few days, like 5 days, and then the rest was just drawing. So that was my very first sketchbook. I think the improvement is actually pretty fast. I didn't know that I did this so like in such a short amount of time. I thought the sketchbook would be at least like a month and a half rather than less than a month, but yeah, there's that. And then there's also my digital drawings along with this, where I was doing like the same practice digitally. So there's that. Now, let's look at my one that I finished recently. I don't normally draw in physical sketchbook paper now. I still draw physically, but I mainly use like scratch paper, or I use like my figure drawing, like newsprint, like these big 24x18 newsprints for like figure drawings in real life. Or I have like these really cheap, like really garbage paper that you can buy a big bulk of. because I used to buy a lot of sketchbooks, and I would try to like go on Amazon and look for them in bulk. Like I'll buy big bulks, like 5 sketchbooks packs, but then it was still so expensive, so I just started buying loose leaf paper because it was a lot cheaper, and I could just, I bought like 100 sheets like 2 years ago, and I still haven't gone through them, and I could just go through and blow through while blowing through sketchbooks too. So this is my recent one. Daiso cheap sketchbooks. They sell, this one was like like $2 USD. We'll go through and see. And also here you can see the date. This is November. I paused in the middle and then I started drawing it again. So let's go through. Uma Musume, always. Mr. CB, just sketching it out. And you can see the line quality has improved a lot from like back here. Here, the lines are very like rough and scratchy. And then here, the lines are a lot cleaner and just smoother. I don't really think there's anything to say for, for these newer ones, because I don't really have any insight. One thing though is that I started drawing from a lot more things that I like. And now that I know the process of drawing, like I know how to build a figure, I know all of like the stuff that I figured out in here, that no matter how complex a pose or a drawing or whatever is, I can figure it out. That's what learning fundamentals helps you with. It helps you figure out how to solve the problem. Anatomy, very structural. Gotta learn the knees. Doing some rendered stuff with pencil, using different mediums. Don't treat things preciously, all right? Like your sketchbook is supposed to be like, a sketchbook. The pages are coming out. Like some of the pages actually just completely fell out, so I used tape to just tape them all together. Knee, frieren, like goat. Feet, legs, fern, just more stuff. These are bad. I don't like these. Furikuri. Just learning, and I'm also mixing in one thing too. Use pens. Here it was a lot of pencil, and then in the middle sketchbooks I used a lot of pen. In this one, I don't know what the date is on this one. Oh, this was like spring, summer of last 2025, and you'll like. Some of these are pencils because I'll do them in work and then I'll just find whatever pencil I have. But a lot of these are like just ballpoint pen, just straight on. And I'm just like messing up and learning and just being nasty with it. Be nasty with it. Be nasty with it, Boom. More furikuri. But I like using pencil. You can use pencil later on when you know how to stop or when you don't have a habit of erasing and trying to fix everything. So like a lot of this times here, I'll just be like scribbling with pencil just to get the overall idea. And then I just go right in with pen and I figure out the rest. Kill a kill. Yeah, kill a kill, steal. More figure. Trying to do more. Like here I have a better understanding of anatomy. I know my anatomy. I also know my proportions. I know my 3D. I can see my 3D shapes. So doing like these, what's it called? Whatever these lines are. Contour lines. Messed up on this face, gave up. Did feet instead. Figures. More figures. You can see the I guess the structure of it better than back here when I didn't really know. More structure, adding in a little bit more gesture to it. When you study gestures a lot and you like all of this abstraction stuff where you're like really breaking it down and just analyzing the shapes and the lines and the flow, then later on when you start doing more structured stuff, that stuff is intuitive. Like you naturally end up having a general flow to it. Putting this more anatomy. Gesture drawings now. I still don't have a time limit for this, but I just do them fast. So like this is probably still like 30 seconds, but I just did it fast and I didn't have a time limit because I'm too lazy to set one up. And I'm like, all right, cool, I'm done. I don't care. I'm gonna move on. Marvel Rivals. This is this year, 2026. Fabrics. More fabrics. More fabrics. So I'm still studying, but I don't study that much. Face. I don't really like this face. I think it's a little bit off. Promare. This is not Promare. This is just figure. More Promare. Promare. So I started doing, like, the thing is, it's speed comes with practice. Speed comes with time. So like when I went back to these gesture drawings that I have, like, yeah, these took me like 30 seconds, but these I wouldn't be able to reach 30 seconds with this level if I didn't do a bunch of these, right? And my 30 seconds back then is not 30 seconds now. Speed comes with time, and the better and the faster you are able to analyze and figure out how to break down the pose, the faster you're able to actually, like, the better you are and the faster you can work without having to, I don't know what I'm trying to say, without having to do whatever. Basically, let me rephrase. This does not take that much time. I'm able to have the amount of time I spent doing like a drawing like this is probably the same time I spent doing this now. Speed comes with time. This probably took me like 5 minutes. This took me 5 minutes back in the day, like 4 years ago, right? I'm able to just work a lot faster and just piece things together now. This too, like anatomy, these are also like, I don't spend too much time, right? 5 minutes, I get bored. Maybe 10 minutes for something like this, just to put in, like, just to do all the shading or something like that. But I don't do anything longer. This one, yeah, like 10 minutes. I don't like spending too much time. Each of these, like 3 minutes or something. Just get the gesture down, get them in fast. A lot of gesture, a lot of proportions that are now figured out, that I've spent time figuring out in here, and now I can kind of mess around and like do whatever. And if I start not liking something, I'm like, I don't really like this, I just give up. Right, this is a sketchbook. This isn't like portfolio stuff. This is sketchbooks. And also, by the way, studios and stuff, like whenever I go for interviews or like talking or whatever, like having a sketchbook like this to be like during the interview is like, okay, yeah, like blah, 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 blah. Here's my online portfolio, blah, blah, blah. And then here, I'm going to hand them the sketchbook, and then they just flip through it, right? The interviewer, the art director, whatever, they flip through and they're like, all right, cool. Like, and I'm like, yeah, this is just all the nasty stuff that I do. Right, all the mess up stuff. Maybe there's the occasional like good stuff, and they're like, cool. They can see how I'm like figuring out and thinking. So you gotta have some nasty work. This one I really like. This is Yo Yoshinari stuff. Always study. I'm always like referencing things that I like. Bochi the Rock, Bijika, more Uma Musume. This side profile gets me a little bit weird. It looks better when it's angled like this, because I'm drawing like from an angle, like looking down like this. But then when you put it more flat, I'm like, oh, it's so long. Things are long. But yeah, more Uma Musume. The eyes are a little bit messed up. I like messed them up on here, but I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna finish the rest of it. I don't care. More Uma Musume. Like I said, these don't take that much time, like in the sketchbook, and these pages are all falling out. You see all the, like, I have all this tape holding it together. This one here, I think I failed on this one. This was supposed to be your name, but then I don't think it looks like Mitsuha. This is me just drawing from movies that I watched, and I'm just like scribbling. A lot of these look nasty. They don't look that good. Doing different like facial ideas. Older people, I like doing the planes. And then more Fruren. This is all messed up. I don't like this. This looks okay, but it's not that good. This waist is too thin. There's no rib cage. Like, there's no rib cage on her. I think it should be like all the way out here, I think. And then you go like this. And then you can go like this. Something like that. More Fruren. And then more Fruren. And then more Fruren. And yeah, so this is my most recent sketchbook that I finished, Uma Musume on the back. I like doing stuff on the cover, but I can't on here. Or maybe I can with pencil, but it smudges. When I try using this, it like goes away like that. But anyway, basically the moral of the story, to recap everything, you want to start a lot of drawings. You don't want to spend too much time on a single drawing, especially when you're just studying and practicing. You want to do a lot of them. You want to build up the repertoire and build up the mileage. Do a lot of the same thing so that your hand gets into the rhythm and memorizes it. And then don't worry about speed. Worry about the level of finish. Because if you have a gesture drawing like this, and you're like 30 seconds, you're gonna get stressed out. You're not gonna have time to analyze the bean shape of the torso, right? You're not gonna have time to analyze like the gesture lines and everything. So go slow. Speed comes with practice. The more you practice, the faster you'll get. Something like this took me like a minute and a half to figure out and get it done. And then a few years later, something like this went faster than this. This, I guarantee I drew way faster than whatever it was for this one. Because this one, I spent a lot of time figuring out and learning how to do it. Here, I already know how to do it. So it's just natural. I just, right? So go slow. Slow is fast. What other notes? Recap. Do a lot, fill a lot of sketchbooks, finish sketchbooks, just go through. Don't treat it preciously. Just be really messy with it. And if you're like, oh my god, this costs so much money, use printer paper, use newsprint, use like the cheap paper, use the back of your, old homework assignments or like tax documents or something. You can just flip them around on the blank page and just start drawing on the back of them, right? Literally drawing is like the easiest thing because it's the easiest thing to get into. Like all these AI bros are like, oh my god, like what's the accessibility of drawing? Like, bro, do you have a pencil? This thing I found on the floor somewhere. I didn't even pay for this pencil. I just took it, and then you just find a piece of paper somewhere, and then you just start drawing. Like, that's all, right? Expo marker took from a classroom, something, right? So that's all there is to it. This is recent versus old first sketchbook. But yeah, keep drawing, keep studying.